is about pretty much the hottest topic. I don't know why, but since about 6 or 8 months, AI, ChatGPT, all this stuff has gone through the roof, right? Everybody's talking about this and using it all the time. Before that, a lot of that stuff existed, but somehow it didn't get into the normal population. And now we find everyone is using it all the time. So that's why this panel was created. And I've got 3 fantastic experts with me here. My name is Rinske, so I work a lot in Australia, but also beyond Australia on information security, business continuity, and risk management kind of topics. As an independent company, boutique consultancy since 17 years. And since 10 years, I'm liaised with PCB on those topics. So yeah, it's been great to get everyone here on the conference. Not seeing people just on machines, but actually seeing people in real life. Very, very nice, especially with the croissants in the morning and all these real life things. So yeah, also great to have these guys here. The first person, well, actually, let me introduce all of these guys around me. So Yassir Karroute is actually a guy who's based in Paris. No, not in Paris, in Normandy.
Yeah, please.
Normandy.
Sorry, guys.
He's the only real Frenchman in the room, or on the panel anyway. He's CEO of Red Lab. Govinda Mengji, he's a specialist master in technology. And we have Nathalie Claes, founder of Dadir. Dadir sounds very exotic. It's a Swedish name. And so what we're going to be talking about today is exploring the latest developments and applications for cybersecurity when we talk about chatbots and AI. And there's a variety of skill sets in the panel, and each will dive into a little subset of that area of expertise. So yeah, I mentioned already a little bit about my background. What I see is constantly the changing goalposts when it comes to AI. One day an organization says it's a real threat to them. The next day they open up, they go, oh, this is a great opportunity, but how we manage all of this, because we have no skills in-house basically to then work it properly. So I think the opportunity is absolutely there. As PCB recognizes, of course, people need to be constantly trained and skilled. It's not a one-off type thing. Like in the past, people got an MBA and they're ready to roll for the rest of their life. Now we see things like PCB skills, where it's constant refreshing of knowledge. And not just hard knowledge, but also the actual practical application. You tell me a person who comes from university and knows everything about AI. And if they did, their knowledge would be old already. Yeah, so we see a lot of amazing developments. I see young people. I've got a stepson who's 23, who tried some other careers, bit bored, you know. Yeah, he's going, well, what about cybersecurity, AI? In 6 months, part-time, on a boot camp, this person's ready to enter an organization and at least start working on the job, learning on the job, constantly refreshing their knowledge with something that's a good starting point. Like, where did we see that? Some of you are looking at, you're probably my age, you know, we went through 6 years, 5 years of university doing whatever stuff, you know, and then ending up with something that is so generic that we still have to upskill ourselves. So I think it's for younger people a great opportunity wherever they are in the world. The additional benefit is, of course, they can do this from anywhere. And so instead of seeing it as a threat, even for schools, for example, that now go, oh, but the kids are not researching their own projects anymore. The ChatGPT has done all the work. I'm going, well, look, you can actually ask them to give their own flavor to what they found in ChatGPT. They've saved themselves, you know, a number of hours of digging around in the haystack of Google. Now it's synthesized, you know, in a nice, concise way. Let them then work with it. Even if it takes them less time, that's the idea, removing repetitive tasks, right? And even if they have more time to actually get out there in the sun and do some sport instead of these machines, that's a benefit. So it's all about finding, I think, that benefit and applying it to real people. So I'll hand over first to Nathalie on my left-hand side here. She's going to give a quick background on where she fits and what her angle is with this. And she has a very interesting angle, I think. And that's sort of not so pure technical angle, and that's the human factor. So we're going to hear from Nathalie, so I'm going to pass you on to Nathalie Claes.
Thank you, Rinske. Yes, I'm probably the strange duck in the crop because I don't have an IT background. I'm not a technical person. I know it's very terrifying. I have a psychology background, so I'm mostly involved with implementation of cybersecurity, information security management systems, but also GDPR in organizations. And I do believe that all the technical stuff that's out there, it does work. If you have the right technical people, they can program it and the technical stuff works. The biggest challenge in organizations that I find are what I call the homers in the organization, the people. The awareness on the people, how they need to interact with the technology that organizations implement, that's the biggest challenge I see in my work day to day. And that's also where I think that the uprise of AI is also being a challenge, because there are numerous ways that AI can trick people, that people are not aware that they can be tricked, and it's a constant race in getting them involved. So that's my take on the whole topic on this table. So for the more technical questions, I will look to my right-hand side. So for all the more soft questions, I'll be here to address the topic.
Right, thanks, Nathalie. All right,
Hello everyone, good morning. I'm Govinda Mengji. I'm from Deloitte, Middle East, based in UAE. If you ask me about my experience, I have around 13 plus years of experience. I come from hands-on implementation, implementing various technology from cloud, AI-based security solutions, and I come from a consulting experience, where if you see the combination of the person who comes from a hands-on implementation and a consulting experience can give the best advice to the clients. So that's where I stand out of the box, and that's the reason maybe I'm sitting here on the panel. So if I ask the industry, as a based in Middle East, I work with multiple industries, starting from aviation, banking, stock exchange, healthcare, and even in the oil and gas, considering it's the Middle East where we have a lot of industry which is in oil and gas. So I have an experience in working with multiple industries. So when you talk about security in Deloitte and as an individual, I support my client into cybersecurity, and when we say cybersecurity, it's not limited to the physical security. It's 360-degree security what we need to take under consideration. So when you say 360-degree security, what do you mean by it? People usually ask me, my client asks me, what do you mean by 360-degree security, right? It's not just about the technology. It's about people, process, and the technology. So any organization, when you take another consideration of implementing any of the AI-based or any of the cybersecurity solution, the first criteria, what I say, is the people, and the second criteria is the process. So when I say people, you need to ensure that you have the right set of people in your organization, either within your organization or you consult with some of the consulting firm or some of the vendor who can give you the best advice. So people is one of the key criteria of implementing of any of the solution to success, right? Then it comes to process. So when you talk about the process, every country has their own data regulation requirement on law, right? They mean the data law, data protection law. So we need to ensure we need to comply with the local laws as well as the international laws like NIST, PCDI, DSS. So there are multiple regulations, even the ISO, right? So then it comes to the technology. When it comes to the technology, we need to ensure there's the major criteria is the technical vendor evaluation. So what kind of use cases you are going to solve? It's not necessary. Every organization, every company have a different use cases, different requirement. So it's very important to understand what use cases and what challenges we want to solve. And based on that, we perform the technical vendor evaluation and implement it accordingly. So furthermore, when we say 360-degree security, cybersecurity, we don't limit ourselves in the advisory board. We help our client in the assessment. When we do an assessment, as I said, you assess what kind of solution is required, right? And then it comes to the design phase. You need to have the entire blueprint ready on paper. So for example, if you are constructing a home, right, it's not that you just talk on the air. You need to have the architecture diagram on paper to ensure it's been approved by all the technical team member as well as the management. So once you design, then the next cycle is about the implementation of those solutions, right? So when you implement, you need to ensure it's compatible with your solution, it's compatible with your existing IT environment, and then it comes the big picture, which is an operational, which is an ongoing things. So you need to ensure, this is called the 360-degree security, cybersecurity assessment, where you are covering people, process, and technology, and within the technology, you cover all the three areas when it says assessment phase, design phase, and then the implementation and operation phase. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Govinda. Govinda is already starting to talk very fast. I will introduce you now to Yassir, who talks faster than ChatGPT produces the result. He's the fastest English-speaking Frenchman I've ever met in my life.
Agree.
So good luck with the next.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna take my time. So hi everyone. So glad to be here. I'm gonna slow down a little bit. From my background perspective, a little bit like Govinda, so I'm coming from the tech. I have a tech background with hands-on. So I spent half of my career in mainly technical position in enterprise IT operation and network security for something like 15 years. And then I founded 2 companies in the AI space in 7 years. So the thing is that based on my previous experience, it was a lot about IT operations security. So technically, how do we secure our data, our software, application, data center, whatever. I made a big shift with the AI. So instead of focusing, we've heard that previously that when you look at from the cybersecurity, there is definitely people, whatever from a psychological perspective or other, there is the process and there is definitely the technology. The way I took the AI for the cybersecurity is mainly related to physical security threats. So technically what we worked on is how do we leverage video surveillance videos and to be able to detect threats directly with AI. So technically we focus a lot on computer vision to make sure that we are securing physical assets. That is definitely a big threat to that. So this is what we are mainly working on, but even with that, we did a lot of AI. So technically, I think that just before we mentioned that all what we hear with ChatGPT and what we call globally generative AIs is something that we use since long years, but we never thought to push them to to the public space like ChatGPT did, which was great to show the people the power of web. But technically, we did it a lot in the past to generate our own data sets to train our AI in the past. And I see a couple of there is opportunities definitely, but there is a lot of threat that we're going to probably go into details later with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Yassir. That was great, and we could really process that. So you've heard from the panel. It's, of course, when you look at not just AI as a tool, but also the specific area of security layered over that, like how can AI actually help you with security? Yassir highlighted a really interesting point, and that is physical security. Because we all think cyber, right? And within cyber, well, beyond cyber, we have information security, which is the broader context of, where do people stick USB sticks into computers and non-cyber related security risks. But what Yassir is talking about is more the broader context of also physical security, and especially with IoT, basically every lift, every electricity supply, everything hangs off the internet now. So it all becomes not just physical, but also cybersecurity. So that context, I think, with AI, the complexities that come with it, and anomaly detection, for example, which is starting to become now the most common way to look at information security risk. Not just, hey, have we got the virus definitions? That was 10 years ago, right? Like when we looked at what we already know. With all this zero-day stuff, what we basically find is anomaly detection becomes the way to do this. And AI is a great tool to do this, because which human can constantly monitor logs and process that information? So again, removing that repetitive task is not just because it's boring and it's actually annoying for humans to do, but also it's probably a more effective way to do it. Yeah? And then still overlay it with a human, looking at the different things that come out, the different results. So. Very interesting point. The other angle with physical security is data centers need to be physically secured still as well. It's not just logical, electronic, whatever, digital security we're talking about. We're talking about physical security as well. So there's still that interaction, that integration possible. So the first question I'd like to give to the panel, and I invite you all to think about a question as well for either of the panel members or a specific person. But the first question we wanted to tackle is, what is the actual key challenge you see in your work when it comes to AI/security, and what best practice, what immediate sort of best practice you can give, what good, successful kind of way to deal with that challenge? So again, I'd like to start with Nathalie. What is your key challenge you identify in this context and the best way to deal with it?
Yeah, when I work with my clients, the biggest challenge, and I already touched upon it in my introduction, is the fact that chatbots, deepfakes are getting more into the working field, where I see that people from a finance department or from other departments get called. I think we all got the text messages from, hey mom, I lost my cell phone, can you please, or hey dad, I see guys looking at me. So, and then we know it's fake. We, at least I think most of us in the room know that teenagers will not go out and about to buy an iPhone of 1,300 euros, but they'll need mom and dad to support that. But in organizations, people get reached out by people who pretend they're the CEO, and people are really willing to help. They want to do good. It's not, I don't believe that anybody gets up in the morning with the idea, oh, I'm going to go over my CEO today. That's not something that people get up to, but they really want to help. And with the challenges that I see in organizations is that with phone calls, even the voice of the C-level is being mimicked, so that people don't even know anymore, oh, it's a fake. If somebody from India calls, you probably can still detect that, oh, he doesn't sound like my CEO. But nowadays, even the AI can get trained that it uses the same words, has the same tone of voice, has even knowledge of more private stuff. So it's really difficult to train your staff on that. So really understanding how you get them to that level of awareness that they don't need to step up to that border. I installed at my home a security system, and we had to use a key phrase. So when there was a burglar, I had to push a button, and then somebody from the service center called me, and then there was a secret password that I had to say. So my password, I changed it now, so don't get any IDs in your head. So my password was Winnie the Pooh, and the other guy had to say Tigger, so that they knew that it was wrong. So perhaps, I know it sounds very ridiculous, but perhaps it's something like that we can install. So it's really getting that awareness, but not the general awareness sessions. I think we all know the PowerPoint slides that everybody goes like, yeah, done, and then you get a certificate. No, it's really getting that awareness, that training, that real life exercises, that people really understand what the topic is and how they need to get involved. And also understand that making mistakes is something that happens, and don't install a blame culture in your organization, but really understand that for some people it's really, really hard. Things are changing really fast, and the older we get, the more difficult it gets to keep up.
Absolutely. Yeah, interesting in the work that I do as well. Meeting in person is becoming more a default option because everything else can be hacked, right? So when you're dealing with senior executives and boards, whilst we think we're now digitized, we can all go on Teams meetings and whatever, people want to actually have face-to-face again. This is the sort of thing you're highlighting here as well. Thank you, Nathalie. Govinda, what's your biggest challenge you find in the people you deal with?
The first challenge what I see, and especially from the region where I come, people believe that any output you get from AI, for an example, let's say ChatGPT, people still believe it's 100% right. No, that's not the thing. AI solution can still be biased based on the data what you produce, right? Based on the data what you feed to the AI-based solution. So there is something called data poisoning, right? So people always ask, right, what's data poisoning? You can still manipulate your data, and the data what you feed to the AI-based security solutions, and the output which comes from that solution, it can be biased. So as I said, the first challenge what I see, the people awareness about this technology, right? People still believes when it's AI, it's 100% accurate, but that's not the case. That's the major challenge. And the second major challenge what I see, people regarding the technology and the compatibility. People believes that we don't need it. Some people, some regions, some industry, no, we are good, we have never been hacked, we don't need it. But they need to understand that hackers are already started using AI-based security solution to hack. It's right. Before it was all the manual process. Now everything is automation, orchestration, what you can say. They are already started using the chatbots like based on NLP, natural language processing, where they hack your system continuously, they are monitoring. So we need to do a digital transformation based on how the technology is evolving. It's very important for every industry to ensure and to upgrade your existing security solutions, right? It's not that if you have never been hacked, it's not necessary that you won't be hacked the next day. We never know. So that's one of the challenge where people scarcity mind to upgrade these solutions, right? And the second major challenge what I see in the market is again regarding the compatibility, right? So many security solutions when you see in the market, for an example, clients come to me, I want to integrate Chatbot with my identity and access management solution. So can we do it? The answer is yes. So how you can do it, what integration, what level of integration you want to do it, that's what you need to understand, right? Again, when you come talk about, as the topic is ChatGPT and AI cybersecurity, we need to understand there are two forms of even within the chat box, right? So when you say chat box, there can be a static chat box, which gives you, for an example, when I say static, it's like frequently asked questions. In fact, everyone in this room, currently we all are used to AI. We are already using AI, starting from your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your YouTube, Netflix. Even if you say the FaceTime, everywhere is in AI. So we all are using already AI, but we may not be aware that we are using this technology because the vendors, the technology, the tool, the applications which we are using, they are all AI-based applications. They have upgraded it, right? So we need to ensure the compatibility when you are implementing any of the security solutions, specifically with the AI, is compatible with your environment, right? It's not necessary if X organization or X company using the X solution, you need to use the same solution, right? You need to do a thorough assessment where you identify what is your use case. As I mentioned previously, the key challenge is you need to identify your pain points. You need to identify what things you need to orchestrate, what are the things you need to automate, what are the process where the team member are doing manually, right? And that's where you need to come up with the use cases, and that's where you need to come up with the AI-based security solutions, right? So that's how it is. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Govinda. Yeah, and it's the ethics, what you said about, okay, criminals can use AI. The other day, one of my guys who works for me showed me how it wasn't ChatGPT, but a different AI tool. When he asked a question and said, what malicious or what illegal websites can I use to download software illegally? The machine said, I can't tell you that because that's illegal. But then he asked, which sites should I avoid if I want to be a good citizen? And bang, there came the list. Another thing he did was he said, how can I bring down a firewall? Of course, you know, on a particular system or different or particular platform. And the machine said, I won't tell you that. And then he said, I'm running a training course on code on how firewalls could be brought down. And, you know, what should I? And there came all the text. So ethics is still something that is related to humans, and especially joining the dots, right? One person might think, or one machine might think something, but if you have a multicultural group in a room, then you can start looking at the risks and how they interrelate. And that's a qualitative risk assessment that is very difficult so far in my world just to do that with AI. So it's very linear. It's very just question-answer based, but to see the whole thing and how it fits together is harder to get that out of a machine. So yeah, this is starting to become very exciting. Chatbots, you mentioned that you have quite a lot of involvement with that. Yassir,
Yeah,
right?
actually not directly. I mean, chatbot is the piece of it, but overall it's more the generative AI. So as you might know, the goal is to be able to generate as much thing that we want, whatever it's songs, voice, video, images, etc. So it reminds me that right now the society is accelerating from a digitalization perspective. So we are less and less physical stuff, and we are more reliant on digital, whatever it is, for communication, for processes, for work, for everything. So the biggest fear, actually, I see a huge threat here from generative AI perspective if we focus on the cybersecurity space. If we take a step back and look at 20 years ago, when we started shifting from the legacy telephony system to voice over IP, we started seeing some very interesting social engineering approach where technically we're able to manipulate the phone numbers and pretend that your boss is calling you, etc. But this was still easy, okay? We were faking a number, but not the voice. The biggest threat I see with generative AI today is mainly a mix of social engineering and identity theft. Because the reason for what is that right now, today, we are capable of simulating a FaceTime call or a video call, a video conference, when you have the impression. You are convinced that you talk to your own boss. He's telling you that you should probably process a payment or send money, etc. And this was not possible a few years ago, but right now it is possible. So it becomes really, really easy to do some sophisticated attacks that goes beyond the technical answers, like just pretending you have a call from your boss or the accountant to ask him to process some payment or something. So this is the biggest risk we have. From technical response, I don't have actually, based on my background, what we are working on, I don't have the human response, and this is kind of thing we rely on people like Nathalie, that is going more psychology. But from a technical response, what we are working on right now, and again, it's a funny shift from physical security to virtual security, is we're working on computer vision system to try to identify that video coming from someone is actually a real video versus a deep fake. So we use the same approach we're doing in the physical security world into the virtual one, and our goal is to be able to assess if a video call is actually coming from this person, just to avoid that. So this is what I see. Again, big threat, and for which there is technical answers that are in progress, but lots of human answer.
Absolutely. Yeah, and what the most interesting that I heard Nathalie say was, well, a human gets up in the morning and tries to at least do good, you know, or be helpful or something. That gives me a lot of hope, because if you look at the anonymity, the anonymous way that bad things can now be done very easily. Like in the past, someone who wanted to steal something had to go through the trouble of going into a house and being observed by other people and by the police. Now this can be done under the surface very easily. So we have to almost rely on a number of different things now, and that is not how can we protect, you know, technically, because there are so many ways that things can now be broken. And by the time we've developed a security tool to protect ourselves, the hackers are already a step ahead, you know. So it's and they pay the good people probably double compared to what the police, you know, Interpol, whatever pays their people. So I don't think technically we can really say hand on heart 100% we can protect ourselves here or limit the likelihood, right? The impact we can do something about, of course, you know, impact and likelihood when it comes to risk. But also we have to look at completely different ways, I think, to protect organizations. And that is, for example, having giving less motive for people wanting to do bad things to us. Because the tools are there, the ways are there, they can be even anonymously done, right? We kind of all agree with that. But motive is something you can, to a certain degree, potentially control. Like if you're doing bad things to the world, if you're not a good corporate citizen, potentially those attract people to do things and attack you as an organization, because they want to actually challenge you because of the things you stand for. And that is something you can control. Your corporate culture, the way you treat people, the way you treat your supply chain, you know, your customers, etc. So it's a whole different angle, and that's where boards come in and executives come in, right? This is not a tech thing. This is not another bunch of, you know, AI guys coming to help protect the organization. This is corporate communications. This is about HR. And boards, this is where the biggest challenge in my world is, because I want to answer this question too, right? The biggest challenge I find is the skill and cultural gap and age gap between boards and executives compared to these technical people, right? I can send a bunch of the hoodies into the boardroom again and say, oh, ask for more budget. They probably get it because the board doesn't even know what they're investing in, frankly. They say, oh, here they are again, the tech guys, you know, the security guys, the IT guys, they're asking for more money. What are they coming up with tomorrow, you know? Because they don't understand the content, the actual, what does it even do? These protection tools, cybersecurity tools, oh, we're investing in, I don't know, FireEye, whatever. The boards don't even understand actually what they're investing in. And that's something where boards need to be educated, but also the hard sort of technical staff need to be educated on how to translate what they're doing into more business benefit, of course. And the boards need to be educated not on the technical content, but on what questions to ask. That's what I spend a lot of time on with boards and executives, is asking the right questions and getting them back in terminology that you can digest. And you can ask your staff to do that, or your external suppliers or whatever, to help with translating that message. And the other thing is the blame or the not making mistakes culture, and feeling that, oh, if I do everything perfect, then I'll be appreciated. In some industries where you wouldn't expect this, it's actually the biggest risk. So for example, a lot of organizations I deal with are now of the mindset of, okay, we need to encourage people to open up, to do risk assessment together with the risk management people, to actually look around in the work they're doing. Where is their risk? You know, whether it's technology risk, cyber risk, physical security risk. You want people to vent that, to tell the levels up, to say there is a risk in what I'm doing, or I've already made a mistake, sorry, I pressed the wrong button, but I better tell you because this may, you know, knock on a whole bunch of other impacts. Now, that culture is important, right? To identify the risk, but also to then manage and to actually be able to contain it. And in the industries where you least expect it, that is actually completely against the culture. So security and police, for example, have a serious culture of one mistake, you're out. I hear this of more and more and more people who work in that industry. And that's seriously dangerous, because if they are experiencing a form of insider threat where they're manipulated into doing something that are against their own employer, and they've made the first mistake accidentally, you want them to ring that bell and to go straight up the line and say, I've done this, I've done it wrong, I actually was in good faith, you know, but I made a mistake. And that's when it still can be contained. And if that culture is not there, so that's a real Nathalie topic we're talking about. You know, it's a people thing. And I deal with my work constantly on the people level, because every time it's a technical question, there is usually an answer. Just like you said, you can test it, you can test machines, you can predict how they respond. But a person, a group of people, a dynamic, a culture, that's the bigger challenge, right? So first of all, is there a spontaneous question from the floor, or a couple of questions? Because we have some other questions that we thought about, but we actually want to hear from you. So has anyone got, great, can I give you the first word? That is Manuel, right? Manuel, yes. Manuel, yeah. Would you like to ask a specific member of the panel, or?
For all of you, actually. Hi, my name is Manuel. I'm a cybersecurity consultant. I'm based in Montreal, Canada. Great discussions you were having about chatbot AI, going into more details, and I wanted to bring a situation that is pretty common for all of you, I'm sure, and have your perspective. So these days, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are using ChatGPT as an assistant to do their work, either on the laptop of the work or on the side laptop that they have, the personal at home. And ingesting data into this, like, I don't know, how can I draft an audit map, for instance, or this sort of things. So you're asking the chatbot, ChatGPT in this case, to generate you a solution to help you for your work or to brainstorm. But the problem is you may be giving proprietary information, and we have seen this case happening a lot. And in this case, you have to appeal to the human again, because they just want to do the job and say, oh, let me use ChatGPT, it's going to help me bounce ideas, these sort of things. People being sometimes the weakest thing, let's say, do you think that in the future, in this aspect, it would be important to have, let's say, I'm thinking two things. First, training, awareness, I think you talked about a lot of that on the people. But would we see, let's say, like, the need to have to implement, you know, when you sign the code of conduct or the charter of IT, that, yeah, you also acknowledge that you're going to use those tools in an ethical way. So would you see these kind of solutions or options being on the table in the future to help contain and manage how people use ChatGPT, for instance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like to take this.
Thank you.
In fact, it's a very good question. So as we all know that ChatGPT, right, most of the organizations are already using it. So there are the plugins, what we integrate ChatGPT into your existing applications, right? You can even integrate with your existing, you know, the browsing system. So there is a mechanism which I can't say the company name, for as you said, the information what you give to ChatGPT, right? For an example, I'm giving XYZ company needs for a scenario, right? And the user by mistakenly enters the company names, maybe some financial data and all. So there is some feature, something called data masking. So when you enter some of the confidential information, like you set the variables within your plugins. So there is an options were available. So I disclose which company is working on it. So any data which is, for an example, when you do a data discovery, right, there is a data masking. So you can't enter the data. For an example, you can't enter the company name. Maybe you're trying to solve some of the problems. So if you say that XYZ industry facing XYZ firewall issue, tell me how can I resolve this? So this is the data leakage, which will be public, right? And definitely ChatGPT is capturing all the data. So the solution for this is the data masking. So data won't be there, and that's right. So that's the answer. I hope it answers your question. Thank you.
I have a second component, which you mentioned is very, very interesting, because actually I have, again, a strong tech background, which means that I don't trust people. I mean, not regular people, but what I call users, okay? So you can put charts, you can put processes, they can sign with their blood, like, you know what, I will never throw any personal data. Oh, no, seriously, I will never do it. Believe me, 90% they will do it. So the thing is that from my perspective, we're trying to fix that through technical things. So you're right, when you throw data into a ChatGPT, whatever, which tool, even if it's not disclosed, it is still used to retrain and give the same answer or similar answer to other people and potentially your competition. So technically, any data you put there, even if it's not literally used, it will be used at some point to support your competition. So the masking components, and I like it, that's what Govinda say. The thing is that I see this as when the internet came out in large companies. So internet comes out, everyone was freaking out. Should we stop it or should we open it? Some people should be allowed to. And then we came up with what we call web proxies. So we say, okay, let's put it under control. So from my perspective, and I can disclose it because my company is doing the same thing, we're not working on data masking, but we're working with some customers on putting the same thing that we call web proxy in the past. Because if you say to users, don't use ChatGPT, believe me, 90% will use it. As usual, again, sign in, blood, everything. But the thing is that's how we put this under control. And this is exactly the topic that we're working on, not masking. We're going to make sure that users in any company will be able to leverage ChatGPT or even other. We're planning to include multiple Gen AI solutions. But we're going to make sure that whatever the guys are doing, we know exactly what they're asking and what they're putting there. So instead of masking, we are more about that. Are you sure you want to ask these questions? So this is the kind of, like, you know, someone going to you know, non-authorized website into the company. So this is the answer that I see from a technical standpoint. I don't believe people.
Yeah, do you have faith in people?
I don't trust people.
Yeah, I still do have faith in people, luckily. What you also see is that with the new ISO 27001 standard, for example, data masking was included. You also see the European Union coming with a whole package of legislation and acts, not that they all are wholly making, but it can be too much as well, but at least there is the idea to move in the right direction and to start thinking about it. What we need to be wary of is the overregulation, and that companies will go to a compliance checkbox mentality. Okay, we have this standard, this legal, okay, done, push it forward. But really to think about, and that's where I see really the joint venture of human and technology. I don't believe we will move towards an iRobot kind of scenario. I do not believe that. But the working together is crucial.
Yeah, very good points by the whole panel, I think. The human factor, right? I've seen a few examples of that in my recent consulting work. One was where one of my team walked into the door at a client, and we had a meeting with an IT manager or something, and my team member already had broken 3 of the security protocols, rules, very hard controls that this company thought they had. And we actually thought they had it as well, but we just bypassed 3 of them within the first 15 minutes with a guy with a big smile on his face, talking to the receptionist, going straight past, you know, the iPad sign-in thing. He was already past that because he had to go to the toilet. He said, oh, can I go use the toilet? And he just magically walked in, you know. Another thing we detected there is with this work from home situation, there's only like 1/3 of the staff or less, maybe 10% of the staff on some days available on the ground floor, and people don't notice if there's a stranger walking in anymore because they think, oh, maybe this person was employed by one of the other areas and they haven't been to the office yet. In the past, like 3 years ago, everybody would know if some weird person walked in because they had a staff party for this person when they walked in first, and normally, you know, now it's all this sort of hybrid situation. And in the same company, what we saw was a very interesting control, is where we asked, okay, have you protected, for example, with data masking or with blocking certain websites, whatever, certain behaviors of staff on the internet? And the IT manager there said, well, he tried that first, but there were still people bypassing those controls. Like I said, with having a good friend in IT, oh, I'll give you an exception, blah, 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 because you've got some weird reason why you need to be, you know, excluded from this policy. People with really difficult controls, people get more and more creative to avoid them. You know, the 12-digit passwords, which have to change every week. You think where the passwords end up? In the sticky note under the keyboard, right? So is that secure? No. So you need to also have that right balance of control, you know, forced controls versus, you know, having some sort of creativity or open a little bit more. And what this company had done is, for example, when people would surf different websites or did certain things with, you know, downloading data or something, this IT manager had made a habit of checking every day if there was some anomaly, some strange things happening, and they allowed it. Instead of technical controls, they did allow it, but they would spot check and knock the person on the shoulder, say, hey, by the way, I saw that this is going on, better not do that. That control worked better than any of their technical attempts of control, because that person had told 3 of their friends, you know, they're checking stuff here, you know. And this actually wasn't really a widespread checking that this guy was, but spot checking and giving the culture that, oh, you could be, because it's far more embarrassing if some guy taps on the shoulder.
Yeah.
If the machine says no, you go, ah, damn. But if the boss goes, hey, yeah, I saw this, you know. So sometimes it's a hybrid solution, I think. Does that make sense to both of you?
It is, there is.
Do you know what I mean? Because
yeah.
blocking
You're right.
things, you sometimes also don't know what the behaviors of staff are if you've blocked all those things. You want to know what their intentions and temptations are, because then if they do bypass the controls, you know what they're actually up to. Does that make sense?
It's a valid point, actually. Right. So yeah, their approach, like, I cannot judge people because they're always, whenever you put technical control, they always try to find workarounds. And you're right. And you're right. Always find out.
Because it can be done kind of anonymously, right?
Yes.
The machine saying no. Great. Any other good questions from the floor? This was a great one. So let's continue. All the way from Sweden. By the way, just as a little highlight, how many nationalities? I think Tim and the team are going to draw a chocolate reward for someone who can guess how many nationalities are here, by the way, in this conference. And we're hitting the 40, I think. Isn't that fantastic? And all the languages there are. And that's a good thing for AI to manage, right? Different languages. So there's a good tool. Sweden.
Hi.
Sweden, what question would you like to
Yes,
ask?
at first, I'm from the armed forces and the military and the police, and we don't do the blame game. We will not fire people from the first beginning.
Great.
It's about awareness, and everyone can do wrong. Yeah. Everyone can be hacked if the threat actor wants to get inside. That's a little of my question. I will start to talk about the modus operandi of the hacker or the adversaries. We need to understand, and in risk don't only have consequence and likelihood. We need to have the threat actor and the threat the actor is using, because when we are doing, I can call me an ethical adversary. We are trying to get into organizations in any way we can. And we need to take into account the threat actors and the threats. And our security solutions application for cybersecurity is not taking care of that. Yes, they have geofencing and so on. But if I want to attack as a Chinese or as a Swede, I will not come from Sweden. I will tell you I'm coming from Germany, I'm coming from US, I'm coming from Arabia. Someone that's in, I have some connection in my organization. Will we take care of the threat actor and threats in our discussions?
Yeah, fantastic points you raised there. I think this is, if I can say something quickly about it, it's about the security model, right? Like to actually, we're always sitting there doing the, protecting the door, but we not actually investigating the psychology of the attacker. And where did they start? What was their first idea to attack us? How did they go about assessing it internally, externally? How did they compare with other organizations? What we have in place, our controls, etc. That whole process of the psychology before you highlight something extremely important. We always think, oh, that's a thing for the police or something, But actually understanding our own attackers and threat actors, and well, actually the mechanisms they use is far more important than just shutting the door and trying to control the final symptom of it when they're actually about to attack us. And that's what we're focusing on most of the time, right? Any further comments from the panel members on that one? anything on the preventative or the earlier?
Yeah, it's not technical enough for me. So.
I need to answer that.
Nathalie better than me.
Yeah, I think the threat intelligence is and reviewing the threat landscape is becoming more and more important, and it's something that shouldn't reside with IT. Sorry to, but it's a business question. It's something that C-level should understand, and that's where I agree with Rinske that having the C-level understanding what's happening, what the impact is on the money, on the financial statement, on their people, on reputation is getting more and more important. So it's really, for me, bridging that gap between business and IT. I'm starting up kind of a master class for C-level. I call it Cybersecurity for Dummies, but it's not really dummies. It's translating the zeros and the ones in normal language that C-level can understand. So if you try to explain, oh, we need to install a WAF something, you say, oh, it's the dog in front of the door. You need to have a dog in front of the door. That's important. So that they understand what it means in their language, and also explain them that it's not the kids from 16 that are only hacking. It's not only the Russians that are hacking. There are so many other factors that come into play that you need to take into account. Their own behavior as a leader. What are you doing in public? How are you representing the company? Everything plays a role in being a target in that. So for me, it's that. But for me, it's not a technical solution.
No.
Thanks. Yeah, it's good to see with, you already highlighted the new version of the ISO 27001. And that's why it's important people keep abreast of this, because threat intelligence is now also one of those checklist items, right? It wasn't there before in the 2013 version, and it now is. So it's one of those things, just like data masking, that is a reason why people need to stay fresh with their knowledge with this field. We've got a few minutes left. Can I ask all the panel members just to say a few final words on the topic and what you'd like to share with the group? We're here for, of course, for the whole day, for coffee breaks and lunch breaks, so you can also ask your questions directly to the panel after that. But can we do it that way? We wrap up with a few final words, and then I think we have got another presentation after that straight away, right? Yeah. Okay. Yassir?
Okay, so my last word is that I learned a lot actually, because again, I'm so focused on technical and not trusting people. I think that I should give it a try.
Trust the human.
Yeah,
Trust
probably,
the
yeah.
human.
But again, by defect, I did so much tech work to not do that, but yeah. Yeah, so I will try to trust people. So now this is my favorite. No, honestly, I think the only organization in which there is no risk is the organization where there is no people. So, and it doesn't. That's my point.
Great.
Thank you. Or all the cybersecurity experts, of course. When you, I mean, I trust all of you guys here, but going out and trust nobody.
Maybe we should shut the doors and we stay here for a few weeks.
No, that's
all right,
that's
thanks,
my point.
Yassir. That's great. Yeah, Govinda?
So from my side, I believe even before going directly pitching and implementing some solution, I still advise every organization to conduct a cybersecurity risk assessment. So when I say cybersecurity risk assessment, it just not limit yourself in conducting the VAPT testing, or you may have a red team who perform the hacking and all. So when you say the cybersecurity risk assessment, you need to, as I said previously, people, process, and technology. So it's very essential to cover all these three parameters, and then understand, as I'm repeating it again because it's very important, people just replicate. For an example, X bank is using this solution, let me use the same solution. No, that's not the case. So it could be different requirement, different technology, different compatibility. So it's very important for us, any organization, to perform the assessment and then see which solution is best compatible and which use cases you're trying to solve. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Govinda, final words?
Yeah, in addition to what Govinda says, yes, the risk assessment is very important, not only on your IT stuff, but also on the transversal processes, what is happening over there. For me, I take it a little bit broader than cybersecurity. For me, it's information security. It's not about IT, and it's not because I'm not IT savvy, but it's not an or situation, it's an and situation, and it's involving everybody in the organization and not just giving a bag of money to your IT guys and then say, fix it, I don't look at it again, and it will be solved, but work together and find solutions that work for everybody in the organization.
Right. Thanks. I think that's what this conference is all about, is getting new connections, making new ways to translate your own message into different people's worlds, including in 40 different languages. So including the board versus the more practical stuff as well. So I think that's been a great start of today. Hope you enjoyed this panel, and the next session will be coming up. I'm sure that I think maybe Adrian or you guys will introduce the next session. Correct? Yeah. Great. Well, give it up for the panel, and we'll see you guys soon for more chats.